everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be teaching you 5 different ways for beginners to learn how to seam their projects together. So here I have, this will be one of the examples that I have 2 granny squares. It happens really often in garments. There are so many times when we need to learn how to seam things. So I'll be teaching you 5 beginner ways that you can do this. Some of them you will need your crochet hook, and others you will need your yarn needle as well as whatever yarn you are going to be using to seam. So go ahead and grab your stuff and let's get started. In order to single crochet 2 pieces together, you're going to line 2 pieces up just like this. And this one I already have it attached because I'm just continuing. But what you're going to do is you're going to insert and you're going to want to attach the yarn. You're going to go through both pieces. And you're going to attach the yarn through both. So you can just pull up and just chain 1. Just slip stitch and then you can chain 1. Or you can just attach the yarn however you would choose. For single crocheting, I am going to actually single crochet into the back loop of this granny square and into the base chain of this back piece. So I'm going to pull up and I'm going to single crochet. So for these 2 pieces, this single crochet is going to act as a seam as well as a border. So you're just going to want to make sure you go through, so that's the front piece, and you're going to want to go through the back piece as well. That's always what you want to make sure of. That's the only difference between normal single crochet, is you're going to want to make sure you go through both. For some people, I know they actually will separate, they'll put their finger in between, and they'll make sure they go through 1, then they go through 2, and they pull up and complete their single crochet. So this is a great option if you want a seam as well as a border piece. It'll work really well. But I will say, when you single crochet for your seam, most often this is used when you are going to see the seam. It's not one that you would then flip inside out. Just because it will end up with a really big bump on the outside, so it'll be a very noticeable seam, just depending on the weight of yarn that you use and just how sturdy and what you're using, what type of project you're creating. So that's what it will look like, and you would keep going all the way across. So that is a single crochet seam. Now I'm going to show you how to slip stitch 2 pieces together. So I'm going to be using 2 larger granny squares. Now when you are slip stitching, especially granny squares, there are a variety of ways that you can do this. I am just going to show you a pretty simple method. Most beginners use this. So you're going to want to attach the yarn by yarning over, pulling through, and then chain 1. So this will attach your yarn. What you can do is you can actually go through only the back loops. Go through only the back loops of each square. So you're going to go through this back loop right here, and then with the corresponding stitch, the loop that's closest to you will also be the back loop. You can yarn over, pull through, and pull through to create your slip stitch. So we'll do that again. So you're going to go through that next stitch, through the back loop of the corresponding stitch on the second square, yarn over, pull through both, and pull through here. Now when you're using the slip stitch for your seam, you're going to want to make sure that you are not slip stitching too tightly, because what will happen is it'll actually bunch up your crochet stitches, especially because slip stitches are usually a little smaller. They're really easy to get too tight. So you're just going to want to make sure to have a loose tension and make sure that you are just making sure that everything is even and nothing is curving or curling, and that you are making sure that you're getting through both pieces when you are seaming, just like that. So this is used often when you have sturdier projects, or you're going to be using something like a blanket or sometimes hangers, but you don't always want the seams to be seen, so you can use this one and then flip it to the wrong side. Some people like it with it to show the seams. You can use this a lot for like the handles of bags, or to crochet, like I said, granny squares together. It's really up to you, but I highly suggest that you pay attention to what it will look like, because this one is a little bit, it's very visible, I guess is my point. So if you don't want a visible seam, I wouldn't use this one. But if you want a sturdy seam that isn't going to just fall apart too easily, this is a great option. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to use the Mattress Stitch. And for this project, I am going to be using a yarn needle. You can also, I think they're also called wool needles, just depends on where you're from. But what you're going to be doing is you're going to be lining up your seams, and how this stitch works is you're actually going to take your yarn and you're going to go on the inside to the outside, and you're going to pull through, and the same thing, you're going to kind of go up and over, inside. So you're going from the outside to the inside, so going underneath like so, and we'll call this the outside to through the inside, outside through the inside. That's just the way that I remember it. If you've got another way, that's totally fine. Outside to inside, outside to inside. And so when you pull it nice and tight, you'll see it lays much flatter than when you use crochet stitches. It's obviously, you can still see that it's a seam, but it's much more hidden than it would be if you had used slip stitches or single crochet stitches. So it lays much flatter, and then what you can do is I will actually be wrapping this to make a little bow tie, and then you won't even be able to notice it at all. So that is the Mattress Stitch. Another option you have with the yarn needle is you're going to use the whip stitch. So with your yarn needle and your thread, the whip stitch is more of going almost like in a circular motion. So you're going from outside to outside, and then you're going to kind of sew through both pieces, and you're going to go around. So you'll kind of see it goes around in a circle, and you're going to go up and over back to the outside, and you're going to go through both, and it'll make a little circle and go around, back, outside, outside, through both, and you'll see it'll make another circle, and you'll pull through. Just like that. So the whip stitch is usually used more for, I've seen it more for garments or for objects that you're going to be a little more careful with. The mattress stitch and the whip stitch honestly are very, very similar in their purpose and in when you use them. It just depends on the designer and your preferences for when you would like to use them. Alright guys, so the final way I'm going to show you to seam for beginners is to just use a basic sewing technique. So you have your yarn needle with your yarn threaded through, and this is just the basic sewing stitch. You're just going to attach your yarn here, and you're just going to kind of go back and forth. So I recommend most often to go through both, and you're going to go through, and in the next stitch you'll go back through. If you're going to be using this to attach two pieces together, or for like garments, you might use this to attach two pieces together. And if you do it every stitch, you're more likely going to have things that will stay together for a longer period of time, and they won't fall apart as easily. I do recommend when you do this that you make sure, for one thing, that you have enough of your extra thread. I don't know how many times I've done it where I've been seaming and totally did not cut off enough to make sure I could attach all the pieces that I needed to. The other thing is, once again, you don't want to stitch too tightly, otherwise it'll end up bunching really bad. And then just the best way, or the most often way that you see this used in crochet that I have seen, is actually when you are trying to attach something to the top of another piece and you don't want the ends seen or anything like that. And it's about the only way that I know of, other than slip stitching through, that you can attach one piece to another. So those are the methods of seaming that I have for you today. I hope you learned something, and I hope that these were a helpful way for you to get to know how to seam. If you like this content, please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I will see you back here again. Bye.